Yo, it's Stage Door, theater podcast hosted by a couple of regular guys here. I'm Kyle with Ron today. We are doing another episode in a hopefully continuing, never-ending series of professionals in the industry who are from the area. All in an encouragement to hopefully, get people to realize if they're 16, 15, 14, or even 35, who cares, that they too could go off and do this if this is what they really love to do. Today, we have Liz Romey. Liz was in the very first show that I saw here in Toledo, Les Mis, and I didn't even know it because I was watching somebody else the whole time.
You have known me before because you saw that show.
I did see that show, but the only person I knew to look for was Tyler. Yeah. I mean, now Ron has told me several times, oh, well, Liz was in that show. She was Cosette. I was like, she was? I heard that tonight. And then Thomas Mabuano was in that show.
Yeah.
And
Dylan
Cole was in that show. There was just a ton of people that
Rhiannon was in
that show.
And
Sheesh.
And
See?
Kate Fasco and I don't know, lots of people that were like in my graduating class or the class before from Springfield just of course from the area.
Right. And so we didn't know. I didn't know any of these people were the rock stars that they were.
Patrick Scholl.
Patrick?
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing these days.
He lives in New York City.
Oh, so he's trying.
Yeah. I've ran into him like 2 times when I lived there.
Oh, nice.
So,
just randomly in that huge city full of millions of people, you've run into him?
Actually, yes.
Just in subway?
It was
I
really,
know that guy.
one time was just on the street. Then another time was, I worked for like a temp agency and I went into the temp agency and he was there on the same day.
Oh, wow.
So, I didn't know he worked for that same company, but yeah.
Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah, so.
We had no idea you lived in New York, so you're going to have to guess.
So Gabe actually had an acting coach too. Has an acting coach. He has a couple of them, and one of them lives in New York. And he went there to get photos taken because he's always, my wife's a senior photographer and she travels and stuff. Ran into him there.
No kidding.
And same deal. It was like, what is happening here? Millions of people. The guy saw him at the subway station getting off, and he's like, Gabe?
Yeah.
What are you doing in New York?
I know, but it always happens like that in New York City.
That's
I feel
nuts.
like you'll run into so many people whereas, you'd think it would be the other way around. Like in the village of Holland, you would run into people. No.
Right.
In New York City, it's just...
nobody goes out here, though. People actually go outside in New York City,
Everyone's
so
walking
maybe
around.
that's how you see people a little bit more. Because, if you're walking around in Holland, you're like, what are you doing, weirdo? Get back in your car. Why are you walking around in Holland, Ohio for?
Yeah, you would be like, do you need a ride?
Yeah,
Are you okay?
what's happening here? This isn't good.
Yeah.
So you're the second person that we're going to have now who's from the area who is doing it, man. You're doing it, baby.
Yes.
So that's kind of a big deal, and we wanted to have people on like yourself to come in and tell people that are listening to the podcast that, hey, man, it's possible. You can actually do this.
Absolutely.
Just some nobody you think you are now, maybe in high school, it's just a pipe dream, but it's not. You're doing it.
For me, it was never a pipe dream.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah, because I was just like telling him I listened to the entire podcast with Trevor, and it was so interesting, like comparing his story to mine, and I was like, I never had a backup plan or anything. Like I was like, I don't know what I would have done.
No, that's good though.
Yeah. I remember your mom telling us that when you were a little girl, you would walk around the house singing show tunes at the top of your lungs as a little girl.
Really?
So you were just all in all the way. So that's just you didn't have a backup plan. I think that's pretty interesting too. So
totally.
So just to clarify, Liz, what are you doing now, or what did you just get done doing?
Well,
what are you known for? I guess is what we should ask. Yeah.
See, this is tricky because
okay.
I've taken a bit of a hiatus,
That's
not
fine.
on purpose, but just because I moved from New York City to Munich, Germany. And so I just moved back to the States in August. And before that, I was in Germany for 3 years. So the most that I was doing in terms of wasn't really in theater, but the most I was doing in terms of arts was singing. And I was singing regularly.
Were you getting a paycheck for it?
Well,
there you go.
I was getting paid, but I wouldn't call it a paycheck. I did get a little bit of money back for what I did, but yeah, I wouldn't. I was a kindergarten teacher as my primary. Oh, okay. You know.
What?
Yeah, wow. I was a kindergarten teacher, so because I needed a visa, like I needed, you know, for reasons to live in Germany, you have to have like, you know, something really legitimate. Oh. And so I was a kindergarten teacher as like my primary source of income, and also just to have, you know, the ability to stay there.
Oh, I see. That's another interesting fact that I never even would have considered.
Super crazy. Yeah, and that was I can get into that later, but that was that was just sort of like my ticket into the country. Gotcha. But I was singing with like several bands, and I was doing that 2-3 times a week up until COVID, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
But you were on but your other thing that I know is in Germany you were on a cruise ship.
Okay, so yes. And
let's talk about that.
Okay,
yeah.
so
and then we'll go back into when you're just in elementary school and how you were living a dream. So you know what? Let's just go back now. Let's go back. We've established she's a big deal. She got all this stuff. We'll get to why she's a big deal. But let's go back to when you were 7, probably, right? 6, 4,
5,
4.
Yeah.
So I just remember that when I was in kindergarten, I was in a little bit of like this separate reading class, and like what is it called? Leap class or whatever. I don't know. And
I definitely wasn't in any advanced reading classes that you were apparently a part of.
It was just
you were part of the Eagles, now it's part of the Dodos, so thanks for that. Yeah.
No, but it was I was with like 5 other kids, and I had an assistant teacher, and we would journal back and forth, and I guess she talked with my mom, and she said, I think you should get Elizabeth, you know, then I used to go by Elizabeth. Oh, so I think you should get Elizabeth into acting classes and like theater stuff. And my mom was like, I mean, how random, but you know, like where would you get that from, like me writing journal entries or something like that. But so for whatever reason that teacher said that, and then my mom asked me, is that something you'd like to do? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I didn't know what that was, but
the teacher was like, there's a lot in this girl that wants to come out, obviously.
I guess, it was so random. And so then my mom got me started in acting classes. I was taking Saturday acting classes at a children's theater workshop downtown at the Collingwood Arts Center.
We're going to be having them on here soon. So.
No kidding. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. I didn't even realize that it was still
a
going.
Thing. Absolutely. Still going
That's
strong.
Awesome. Yeah, so then I did plays. I started out, I did those acting classes on Saturdays, and then I did like The Spell of Sleeping Beauty, and that was my first show ever when I was like 6 years old or whatever.
I said this to Trevor too. I love that you know that. You were 6 or 5 and you're like, first show was this exact show.
You never forget
I know
those
the part
things.
And this is the clothes I was wearing for the thing, and I had this prop. It's like, it's crazy to me. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you remember all of those things because it's like so impacting. Yeah, so I did that and a few more plays, and then the next thing that I did, like how I got into musicals, was Joe Barton. He was the high school director for the shows at Springfield, and he was doing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and they were looking for children for the children's chorus.
Yeah, little chorus parts. Yep.
Yeah. So, and they were holding auditions, and my mom was like, so you know how you do plays, and you love that? Well, you can do plays, but you can also sing. And I loved to sing. And I was like, wait, they can be together? So I was like, this is awesome.
This is totally the dream.
Right. So I auditioned and I did Joseph, and that was my first musical. And then from there, let's see, at this point I would have been like 8, I think. Yeah. So, because I think I was in the 3rd grade.
Yeah, that's perfect age for the children's chorus in Joseph.
Yeah, absolutely. And then then I know that I also did Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in Adrian, Michigan at what is it?
The Croswell.
Croswell Opera House. Yeah, exactly. I did Joseph again there in the children's chorus.
You did the Croswell Theater. You were 8 years old, and you did the Croswell.
Yeah.
But she was wearing her little tie-dye shirt probably.
Yeah.
Them, right? Yeah. That they have
little colored shirt. Yeah, exactly. So, and my mom like drove me, back and forth at 45 minutes every day, back and forth. And my mom was pregnant, so she would like stay, and just Yeah.
And crazy Adrian with all these party places to go in Adrian, Michigan.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the same dad who did that. I was like, where am I going to go for 3 hours now that I'm here?
You go to Wendy's. Yeah.
I went to the coffee shop.
Yeah.
I actually got a margarita at the Mexican place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, I had 3 hours. I was going to be fine.
Gotta do something. Yeah. So, but anyway, so then like I ended up doing, every time that Springfield and Joe needed children to come in to do these children roles, I was doing that. And so I also did the show at Croswell, and I did a lot of different community theater productions. I just really totally went in. So Joe Barton at Springfield, he was doing Les Miserables, and he needed children to play the child roles. And so I auditioned, and I played... I actually played both young Cosette and young Eponine.
Oh.
Yeah. And so at the end of that production, I was so sad. And, like at the end of every show, you get like this, deep
the depression sets in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my mom said she was driving me in the car, and I was in the back seat, like sniffing, like, and she turned around and looked, and I'm crying. And she said, "Oh, you really love it. Like, but don't worry, you can do this. You can keep doing this as long as you want, whatever it takes." And I said, "Acting is my life." And she was like, "Oh no, like now this is not good." She's already a drama queen.
Acting is my life.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh God." So it's been, just quoted in our family forever since then. It's a big joke. Yeah.
Of course. Oh no, acting is my life.
Yeah.
Whenever something comes up,
yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, but it really was the case because then, like I said, I just kept doing it, and I was doing all this community theater and everything, and so then cut to, let's say, I don't know, high school.
Yeah, high school time. Let's get to high school, yeah.
Yeah, I was doing the shows, of course, with the school. At that time, we did a musical both in the spring and in the fall.
And this is Springfield High School? At
Springfield,
and
yes.
Actually, when you were in middle school, you were doing them too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I saw
all the
you
way
in
through.
Music Man, and you were just...
I was in
Zanita's Girls,
Yeah, and Wizard of Oz and all of those.
Wizard of Oz, you were a Munchkin teacher or something.
And Sound of Music, and I was a nun for Sound of Music because I was too old to be like a child role, but Joe didn't want to not invite me because so he had me
Fiddler
play a
on
nun.
the Roof, you were one of the girls.
I was one of the sisters.
So you're in high school.
So I'm in high school, and we're doing musicals every two musicals every year. And then once I got to my senior year, Joe Barton had left. He did his last show was my junior year, and I think that was Into the Woods.
Little Shop of Horrors with Tyler.
Well, yeah.
Well, he was gone.
My senior year was
gone.
Then it was Corey Meinhardt took over, and he did Little Shop of Horrors. And so that's when Tyler and I played opposites in Little Shop of Horrors. I was Audrey, and he was Seymour. And
Joe was Audrey, too.
And Joe was Audrey, yeah. Audrey, too. Then I just, in the spring, they decided that they were going to make it plays. Uh-huh. And I knew at this point that I was going to go to college for musical theater.
This is spring of your senior year. So
exactly.
So at some point in time in high school, you had decided that you want to do this for a living. You're going to go off and do college stuff and all that kind of stuff. So how did you decide like you were going to do that, or was there anybody that told you should do it, or you just knew because you knew this because acting was your life?
A little bit of both. I mean, it was something that I always knew that I wanted to do musical theater, and I was like, I want to move to New York City. I want to be on Broadway. Like that was my childhood dream. I had like Broadway everything on my walls, that kind of thing. But I knew that I wanted to go to college for musical theater, and I don't know, it just kind of like honestly nothing ever. There was never like a moment because for me, for as long as I can remember, that's just what I always wanted to do. And
so nobody had to tell you that you had to do this. You were going to do it anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was really, really, really lucky that both of my parents were like supportive. Through and through.
So nobody had to tell you that you were good enough. Nobody had to say, you're just good enough, man. Maybe you should do except for that kindergarten teacher who said
that kindergarten. No, you know what? It's funny because I think Trevor, in his interview, he kind of touched on this, like voice teachers. I don't know why, but it's such an intimate thing, like having a voice teacher. And I was taking voice lessons for like 11 years and with Michael Ewan in Adrian, Michigan. So my mom was actually driving me still, because I didn't have a driver's license, for 45 minutes back and forth every Saturday for voice lessons. And what I was going to say is that, like, he was a huge mentor for me. I mean, of course, he, taught me voice, but he was very encouraging. And in all times, like in all challenging times of the theater life and like, coming of age and just kind of seeing the harder sides of working in the entertainment business and like the competition or whatever, he was a huge mentor for me and like a huge supporter. He heard all of my stories of auditions and the drama and whatever, and he just was like, he was so helpful for me in terms of like college auditions and getting the confidence that I needed in preparation for those. So but other than that, I just always knew that I wanted to do that, and my parents were really supportive, and I was so lucky for that.
Yeah. And did you have like 30 places you applied for? Did your parents hook you up with all that kind of stuff? How did that all go?
My mom said, we are not affording for you to go out of state. So she was like, you can pick 4 schools in Ohio, and those schools, when you go to audition, if you get an audition, because of course you have to apply, once you get accepted just from that school, like academia wise, then maybe they say, okay, we extend an audition for you. And then you would go and you would audition, and then you get accepted into that conservatory program or whatever. So she said, you can pick 4 schools, you can go and audition, and those auditions are going to be when you get to like look at the college and everything. So I didn't have like college visits or anything. I just did my research. I had known a lot about it because, I knew for a long time that's what I want to do. I did my research online, and I picked four schools and went to my auditions. And those, while we were already there for the audition, that's when we like toured the college and everything. And my schools were Otterbein, Baldwin-Wallace, Wright State, and the
one in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Yeah.
The
exactly.
4 in Ohio.
CCM.
Basically.
Yep. Absolutely.
The 4 biggies in Ohio. I assume that's where you were. And so how did you pick then out of all those? Was it picked for you?
Well, a little bit of both. So like, first of all, Wright State, I ended up going to Wright State University, and I got scholarships there, and it is like so affordable to go there, number one. And number two, I had heard so many good things about Wright State's program. Melissa Grahowski, she went to Wright State University, and so that was actually kind of how I had first ever heard about it.
I've gotten a hold of. Yeah, Melissa.
Yeah.
She did Cat. Was she?
Yeah, she was
Cats?
She was in Cats, and now
kind
she's
of a big deal.
Teaching theater at TSA, right?
Yep.
And so I had heard wonderful things about the program. I got accepted in. I got lots of scholarships, so I was like, okay, it's affordable. My mom was obviously happy about that, and I had a few friends also that auditioned and also got in. Leanne Elwazani, she was just on Broadway in The Band's Visit. We grew up together and did shows together. She went to Wright State with me as an acting major, not a musical theater, but still in the same program. And also Caitlin Varwig, she attended Wright State for a while. Derek Jordan attended Wright State for a while. And Mark Beyer, who we graduated together in the musical theater program there, and he is from... he went to St. John's, so he's from Holland as well.
From the area.
Yeah, and he lives in New York City now, and he's done, Beauty and the Beast tour and several things. Yeah.
I love all this name dropping. Love it.
So, So I just, I went to Wright State University. That's what was my choice. And it was super close. It was the perfect balance of like 3 hours away from home. So, I had my space from my mom, but also I was like, when I need you, you can be there very quickly.
Oh, you mean that mom who drove you to Adrian?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
space Mom, I need you. Yeah.
But I also love you, but also get away.
I'm like, I need to like grow up a little bit.
Yeah. So your experience at Wright State was positive then, it sounds like.
It was very positive. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I made so many friends, and like I said, I already knew so many. Oh, Tyler Sims also went to Wright State.
Sims, know him.
Anyway, and I made so many friends there, but I also knew enough people so that, going there felt comfortable. And absolutely. There were so many talented and just wise people of the industry working there and leading us. And similar to what Trevor said, we also had like people come in from Broadway or from whatever prestigious,
They brought Broadway to you.
Yes.
Nice.
So we had that opportunity. We were directed and we were able to see really like how it is in the real world, and yeah.
Quick question. In Toledo, you did a lot of normal plays, but in Wright State, I bet you did some adult stuff. Was it different? Was it hard? Was it
very?
What do you mean adult stuff? I don't even know what that means. What's the difference?
You went from Fiddler on the Roof in Toledo to what at Wright State?
Yeah.
What? I don't
So
know.
at Wright State, my first musical was Spring Awakening.
Oh, quality.
And
We did that in Toledo too.
Yeah.
Really?
It's been done twice in
Joe
Toledo.
did.
At least 3 times. I think.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that was, the most racy thing was a wild party. We did a wild party. I played the role of Nadine. We did that my junior year, and totally
wild.
a different, totally a different, ballpark. There's like, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on
No,
here,
Say
but
anything.
Don't say
Say anything you
yeah.
want.
no, but there's like an orgy and stuff
Oh,
and that.
yeah.
So it was
Well,
very,
yeah,
very
yeah.
different, but it was done very tastefully, very
Did Mom come to that
artistic.
one?
Yeah, of course. My mom came, and actually my dad even flew out. He lives in California, but he had flown to see it. And but totally different from, my upbringing and from,
Right.
my experiences before. But that's the industry, so
called
you
acting.
have to be able, exactly. You have to be able to do those things too. And what was really cool during my time at Wright State was that, so as I'd mentioned before, I did Les Mis, when I was a child, I played little Eponine, little Cosette. Then when I was a senior in high school, we did Les Mis with 3B Productions, and I played older Cosette. And then when I was in college, we did Les Mis, and I played the older Eponine. I played Eponine. And so it was so cool because I was like, I've been in that show 3 times, and I feel like I've played,
Well,
every
you got all the
role.
kick
Yeah.
parts possible. It
Almost,
sounds like.
yeah. So I'm like, all right, when I'm a little bit older, maybe I can play Fantine.
Yeah,
and then I've got,
and then I can just never do it again. I've already retired. I've done it. I don't need to do any more.
So at Wright
holy
State,
moly.
you're
Yeah.
in Toledo. You're the big cheese. You're in all the leads, but you go to Wright State. You didn't start out getting a lead right away.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I was so buried with insecurity when I first got to Wright State because I just didn't know. I didn't know anything else. It's like you said, I was doing all of these things before that. I had, good roles in shows, but you're a big fish in a small pond. And then you get to this like conservatory like competition, and it's, you feel so insecure and overwhelmed with the things that you didn't even know that you do wrong. You're in a voice lesson, and I there were probably so many voice lessons where I was like left crying and, had to journal. I would keep a journal for every class, my voice classes, my dance classes, my movement classes, everything I would jot down, in my journey where I was. And it was not always up here. Of course not. Like in most cases, I started really from the bottom and it grew, but it was totally like a shock, going
Rough
in.
on you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and as an adult, I look at that and say that that's a good thing. I say
Oh,
that it's
yeah.
good that you weren't the best person at this school, because how are you going to grow?
You can't, yeah. And if you go, absolutely, and it's good to go with like an open mind and to know that the people that are there and in charge and teaching you, that they are going to do their job. They're going to help you grow and see what it is that you need to work on and what are your strengths and help you lean into those. And, so.
Yeah, what good is it that you go in there and you're getting all the leads again, and everybody's telling you're the best person if it isn't going to eventually get you to where you want to be?
Yeah.
It's like, thanks. And then
Exactly.
I didn't get a job ever. Appreciate it. Thanks.
But I follow, all of these people on social media now, of course, like my former professors and stuff. And they're just, they just remain such a huge support system. And,
Awesome.
It's like a family. So, but anyway, so then after college, I 22 years old. I immediately after college moved to New York City, and I lived there for about 1 week, and I auditioned for my first show. It was an off-Broadway musical, and I booked the lead.
Get that out!
Yeah.
This is exactly like Trevor. Trevor, 1 weekend he got the lead in the show. That's what he said, didn't he?
Took him years.
Oh, yeah.
He worked at a Gap higher.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course, I still also had to, do like other jobs, odd jobs or whatever, but this was, really, really
off
cool.
Broadway though, so it wasn't that big.
Yeah, it wasn't Broadway, no, but it was so cool. Like I really didn't expect that.
Was that the Christmas one?
It was.
What?
Yes.
It was a Christmas.
Ron, you stalking her? What the heck?
It was when you went.
Fancy Nancy's Splendiferous Christmas.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
that is such a Christmassy, awesome
Yeah,
naming show.
absolutely.
One more time, what was it? Nancy Fancy Pansies? What is it?
Fancy Nancy's Splendiferous Christmas.
Oh my gosh, I love that name already.
And so
She's there 1 week.
Is there a recording
1
of this
week.
with you
She's
doing
there
this? Because I
1
want to
week
see it
and
now.
gets the lead.
I think, I don't know. There might be somewhere, but I don't know.
Come on, you got to find
There's
it somewhere.
pictures.
There's lots of pictures, lots of
Okay.
photos, and also like we had a poster. I don't know if it's still in the family, but we had a poster
nice.
that was like,
Are you
with
you the cover? Are you Nancy Pansy on the front of it?
Yeah.
Nice. I love it.
So,
Now, to be fair to Ron, I bang on him, but Ron has known you personally longer. Like I did
for a very long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course he's allowed to stalk you and find out what because he's got a personal relationship
She
with
used
Tyler.
to sing around our piano with Tyler.
Yeah.
in our living room.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
Tyler and I were such good friends
Yeah.
growing up, and
See, I don't have any of that, so I give him a hard time, but it's
No,
fine.
no.
It's fine.
Of course not.
I'd be all over like some of the kids that Gabe's friends with too, be like, what? But I don't have that with you because unfortunately you're a year older and you aged out right before my kids were able
Really
to do
got
so.
into
yeah,
it, yeah.
Yeah. Because my son started the theater thing right after he saw Les Mis. So
That is
so the next
cool.
year you were off to college and he was being in Ragtime with Tyler. So that's how he knows him. So.
But so then he did shows with Tyler, or
He did.
Couple.
He did Ragtime with Tyler at least, and I think he did another one, but I can't recall off the top of my head because I'm old and I have an old brain. I can't remember stuff. Anyway, sorry. So you were Nancy Pansy or something like that.
Fancy Nancy,
Fancy Nancy.
and Splendiferous Christmas. Yes,
love it, seriously.
And so I did that show, and like I said, that was right off the bat, living in New York City.
Oh my gosh.
And I had secured a.
I mean, how excited were you for this? First of all, like, were you just dying? Did you call everybody you know immediately?
100%. I was over the moon. I couldn't believe it. I remember being actually I was on the subway when I got the email, like about the callback, and I remember getting the email about the booking the role and everything. So it was very, very exciting. I called, my dad, called my mom, called everybody, and they all flew out. Actually, it was really special.
Oh, nice.
Even at the time, once the show was in production, my grandmother, who has passed now, but she was, like really in the last moments of life, you could say, and she'd only ever flown on a plane 2 times, and this was one of them. Aww. And because she hated flying, but she was like, I'm determined to go see my grandbaby off Broadway, so she got on the plane and came out to see it. And yeah, it was just such a special moment in time. It's like a memory that I'll always,
Oh yeah, I'll go broke flying to if my kid ever got on stuff like that. I'd be like, we're there, baby. We're gonna be opening night. We make a huge deal.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because it is a huge deal.
It is, and especially when you put all that time into your training and everything, and then you get there.
Right, because like you said, it's only the thing you've been dreaming about since you were
forever.
6.
Yeah,
So.
And I expected the same. Like what Trevor said, I expected the same. They tell you when you get there, it will be hard. You could be there for 5 years before you even get anything, and so you really go knowing what you're up against.
Right.
You don't think, never in a million years did I think that would happen
and
so
you would
quickly.
think you're going to get like just a dancing gummy thing in the background, and you're not the sugar plum. You're
Totally. Yeah. And it was cool too because 2 other castmates. So the cast was very small. It was only about like 8 people, I want to say, 8 or 9 people. But 2 other castmates of mine also graduated from Wright State University.
Get out.
So crazy. Yeah. So
Wright State sounds pretty good.
yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah.
So Ohio Northern's pretty good, and so is Wright State. All right,
Yes.
we're adding up the good schools here on this podcast.
Yeah.
So.
A lot in Ohio.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So, and then after that was done, I was teaching. I was substitute teaching, like as my kind of side hustle job, so to speak.
Okay.
And going to auditions still. And then I booked the cruise line. I was working as a lead vocalist for AIDA Cruise Lines. And so I went on the ship, and we did a cruise through the Baltic Sea, going north. So, I mean, I was everywhere. I mean, really spent a lot of time in Norway. We were even in Russia. We went everywhere.
Everybody's getting their phones out right now looking up where the Baltic Sea is. So that's
we started in the Canary Islands, so it was warm, but then we went north, and then like for the majority of my time on that ship, it was freezing. But it was cool because like I got to go dog sledding and things like that. I sing under the northern lights. Like, what? Yeah, so that was really, really cool.
You see the fjords of Norway and stuff like that?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
so
God,
the fjords,
that's amazing.
it was really rough seas there, but yes. It was really beautiful.
Did you have to sing in rough seas?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, sometimes they would cancel the show, of course, if it was like really dangerous for us to, you know, be able to do choreography or stuff. And we're wearing, you know, the girls are all wearing high heels so sometimes they wouldn't cancel the shows, and you just have to learn essentially how to like balance yourself and center yourself in a way in which like, but the floor, your ground is always moving, you know? So it's just a really weird
It's always a little
feeling.
sway, if anything.
Totally.
There's always a sway.
And it's like you have to get used to the fact that like you're gonna be
and some
getting
people feel
air.
it more than others, obviously, too. Some people, you know. So, like my wife, you know, first time we went on our cruise, she had to go back to the room because she wasn't feeling well. And I didn't even know. I'm like, what? Something's moving?
For
She's
you,
like,
it didn't affect you at all?
Not at all. You know, I might as well have been standing on plain old earth. I didn't feel
Really?
I felt nothing. Yeah.
But yeah, you never know how it will affect somebody, and it can really make
So,
you sick.
yeah. So some of these performers could have motion sicknesses they wouldn't even know about.
Sometimes we would be in the backstage, and we would be getting ready, vocalizing, putting on our makeup, and also like, you know, getting sick. Yeah, right before the show.
Wow.
It's a
glamorous.
new lifestyle. Yeah, it's so glamorous.
So this is a German cruise line, though. Did you perform in German or did you perform in English?
There were 10 shows that there were 11 shows, 11 shows. I was only in 10 of them. The only one that was in German, I wasn't in. So I didn't have to learn any German for this contract.
All right, cool beans.
However, little did I know, I met my ex-boyfriend who was Bavarian. He worked on the ship, not in the entertainment field, but doing something else on the ship.
Tell me it was making chocolate.
No, he wasn't.
Bavarian?
No,
He was a bike tour guide. So yeah, but you know, anyway, so we met.
If he made chocolate, he'd probably still be your boyfriend.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe. Yeah. So we met on the ship, and then I went back to New York City though when my contract was over. And we did long distance for 1 year. And I still was, you know, doing auditions and everything. Right. But then I decided that I wanted to move to Germany. So I did. So I moved to Munich. And as I was saying before, that's why I was doing teaching.
We're all the way back to where we were at the beginning when we started over.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I got
teaching
into
kindergarten.
I was
and
a kindergarten
singing
teacher.
in bands.
And singing in bands, yeah. And
In English?
In English, yes, in English. I made a lot of international friends, like,
cool.
You know, right off the bat. And so I was singing in bands.
I can only sing 99 Red Balloons so many times in German before she's like, I can't sing this anymore. Yeah. So we're done.
Exactly.
Luftballons. It's like, all right, done. We're done. I got to sing in English now, guys.
Well, you know, it's funny because, like I said, I didn't have to learn any German when I was on the ship. But then little did I know, I'm like, I'll actually be living in Germany where I will have to learn German, you know? So,
yeah. Really go for so long without accidentally falling into stuff. So can you say some German right now?
Ja, ein bisschen. Yeah, I can.
All right.
I believe.
I can speak pretty fluently.
Pretty decently?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, actually, yeah. We'll get
I
there,
just
but
say hamburgers and stuff like that. I sound like a total
Sauerkraut.
American if I do it.
sauerkraut, yeah.
Yeah, none of that would be good. So, but now you're not in Germany anymore now, though.
So I'm not in Germany, no. So like I said, I did that for 3 years. I lived there for 3 years, and in the middle of living there, so about 1.5 years in, my ex and I broke up, and the pandemic started, like almost simultaneously.
Yeah.
And so I then in that moment discovered that I can write my own songs, but I didn't know, like literally my whole life, everyone would say, "Oh, you're such a good singer. Like, do you write your own stuff?" And I would be like, "No, like absolutely not. I just do covers." And then, it just kind of took the heartbreak and everything feeling like it was crumbling almost that it just came out and I wrote a song. And then from that point on, I was just writing all of my own stuff and collaborating with some artists, of course, socially distanced. So we were doing a lot of like videos and stuff like that for social media or whatever. And I was writing my own music. And then right before I moved, I was able to record my first single and get it out on Spotify and all the platforms and everything. Yeah, so...
Well, we're going to blast it.
Yes,
We need to know what it is. So you're going to send it to us after this.
Put it on our
I will.
Facebook page.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, please, thank you.
We get hundreds
That'd be
we get
awesome.
hundreds of downloads. So there's at least 100 right there for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That would be great.
So we have oh man, what was I going to say here? So the music thing. So were you writing the music or were you like
I was
the
writing
actual
my own
notes?
I was writing my own like the actual music itself, and then
Okay,
of course
so you're
the
a musician
lyrics and
too?
everything. Yes.
Oh, so you left that part out, man. Now you're a musician too. When did you start being that as well?
Well, I just did that, like, essentially since I didn't play. I didn't play the piano, but I just wrote the music, like from my head. You know what I mean? So, but I can play the piano. I can pluck, but I don't claim to play.
Right.
But I learned music growing up because I was taking voice lessons, like I said, for about 11 years. And then I also I forgot to mention that I was in the Toledo Opera when I was 16.
There you go. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so I did the Toledo Opera for some time. But anyway, so yeah, I had learned.
But when you went to Wright State, did they hone that even more, playing music instruments at
we
all? Or?
did. Well, of course, we had like, I was a musical theater major, so you have to take music theory and you have to, learn like basic keyboard or whatever, things like that.
This is good because we don't know any of this stuff because we weren't musical theater majors. So we don't know what you have to do.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but I mean, for me, I don't play any instruments. Like some of my friends play like the guitar or something, and what Trevor was saying with the piano, I wasn't surprised at all how much that has been for him, like a huge, gateway for getting so many things, because it does set you aside 100%. In fact, I will say that a hard part about writing my own music, and the fact that I'm writing it like from my head essentially, is that I have to like explain that and to someone who plays the guitar or plays the piano. I have to sing it for them, and then it's like it would be so much better had I known how to do that for myself.
Right. Yeah.
But of course, it's fine in the end because like I'm able to communicate with my voice at least, and
at least you have an instrument to work with. So that's good.
And also then I have to collaborate with more people, which is never a bad thing, obviously. So it was, it's good in that sense. But I totally concur with him that it would be of much help if I actually played an instrument.
If you could do all this yourself, though, you might be sitting in a dark room just plucking away, though. But now you have to collaborate. You have to be social.
Exactly, and have to get like the courage to share my music, and that's huge.
Too, I'm sure.
So I did that, and I put my single out there, and then I moved back to the States, and I'm currently living. I just moved actually, like 3 weeks ago. Yeah,
I know, because I friended you, and you were nice enough to friend me back. And then I saw you move. I'm like, oh, she's here. I thought she was in Germany. Okay, no, she's not in Germany. And now you're in California.
I'm in California. I'm in Beverly Hills.
Can you see the Hollywood sign on the...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, I can see. It's so crazy. Like, I never in a million years thought that I would live in Hollywood or like in California, So it's very different. And like I said, I've only been there for so long, so I can't even say yet how it will be. But
what do you get an agent? Do you audition? Where next?
So
I think it's funny though that she sits there and says, "Well, I can't imagine living in LA." She lived in Germany.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I was on a cruise ship. I lived
That's
on a boat for 3 years. Then I lived in Germany.
Yeah.
And I saw the fjords. I can't believe I'm in California. That's what.
Well, I didn't think about it like that's true. Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying an agent and everything?
Yeah, no, but I mean, eventually not eventually, like, so the next step would be that I find an agent and a manager, because I think on the West Coast, you absolutely need that, whereas in New York City, I could go and represent myself, and I had that training so specifically for musical theater. Well,
Right.
my degree was an acting with an emphasis in musical theater.
Oh.
So I do have like a lot of acting foundation. I know a lot about that, and that's what I did get my degree in. However, it's not tailored for the camera. So it is going to be very different. And I know, just the industry in general, like you really do need an agent and a manager on the West Coast from what I understand. So I will not only need to get those, but I also need to join some acting classes. So that way I can get like the proper training specifically for like shows or movies or whatever, things like of that nature. It's very different from the stage.
Cool. I'm going to clarify again for everybody who's listening here. So Wright State you can go there as a dance major, correct?
Yes.
And then you can go there as a musical theater major, correct?
Yes.
And then you can go there as a acting major.
Correct.
So you were there as an acting major, but also an emphasis with musical theater?
Okay, so no.
I'm trying to open up
singing.
doors. I'm trying to open up doors for people, anybody who's looking and what's going on here.
So what it is I am what they would refer to as a musical theater major. I am the musical theater major. There's the acting, the dance, and the musical theater.
Okay.
But when you get your certificate, it's actually a degree in a Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting with emphasis in musical theater. That's what it's broken down as. And so just that meaning the basis is the acting. It's
Gotcha.
that, you are acting through song. So
But
yes.
everybody in the industry probably knows if they're coming out of Wright State and it says acting with an emphasis in musical theater, they were a musical theater major.
100%.
Right.
Yes,
and if
exactly.
it doesn't have that emphasis in musical theater, then they're just straight acting.
Exactly.
There we go.
Yes,
Woo.
yes.
We're figuring it out. Yes, we are figuring it out.
Yeah.
No, this is good, though. This is good information because, again, the whole thing that why we're having you here is, honestly, encouragement.
To get, of course.
I want you to be the person that is encouragement for all the 6-year-old girls who are also
living in
doing
Holland.
Living in Holland, Ohio.
Yes,
Yeah.
and this is their life. Acting's their life, and they want to do this. And then they can look at you and say, "Oh my gosh, see, somebody from where I'm at is doing it," and that's why we wanted you here because it's just important to Ron and I. When we do this,
course.
to have those kinds of I guess I don't know. Beacons, or I don't know what you want to call them, some sort of star out there that they can look at.
Someday someone's gonna say at the Tony Awards, "I want to thank that podcast I listened to because they inspired me."
Woo!
And that's us.
And that's what I'll sound like SpongeBob in the background. Woo!
I know that's going to happen because if something like this existed when I was growing up, I would have been listening every time that you posted something. So I know that that's going to be the case, 100%.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because we're cool. We're cool.
Yeah, because you're cool. Yeah. So, yeah.
The reason they invented jeans.
That's us.
That's us. Just saying.
I don't even know what that means.
Tight jeans.
Oh, tight jeans.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, that's too much.
Tight jeans.
So anything out there else like, pitfalls? Like what was a pitfall when you went? Because it sounds like you were only there for a week and you hit it off and you were smashing it immediately. Was there anything that was scary that you got to? Like
You mean in New York City
anything,
or just anywhere
anything
in
like
general?
so when
Getting
you were playing,
rejections.
Yeah, so let's start with your
Oh.
college thing. So you were in college, you were going off to college and did
you
were
made
you
it sound
were you
so easy.
scared? Yeah, you made it sound too easy.
Oh, no.
Let's hear the scary
I
stuff.
didn't-
Let's hear the scary stuff so that the
Okay.
kids don't think it is going to be easy. So when there are bumps in the road, they don't just quit.
Okay, so
Yeah, hear it.
when the first time that I remember feeling serious rejection,
Mm-hmm.
which was pretty public, actually, was in high school. I got picked to sing for Marvin Hamlish. Well, of course, he's passed away now, but he's the composer of A Chorus Line and many other things. And I sang for him at the Valentine Theater, I think it was, along with 2 other people. And he did not like my performance at all.
Yikes.
He referred to it as a train wreck.
And you're a kid.
Yeah.
Really? No kidding. You're a kid. You're heartless.
Well, yeah, it was a master class. So, you know, what it is you go out and you sing your piece, and then he watches, he makes notes, and he critiques, and then you go back and you try to put into place what he's told you to change, and then you perform it again with those things in mind, and then he comments, and you know, so, and everybody, there's a lot of kids watching, so that are also in the theater or arts or whatever, and they watch, and so they can like see a transformation and see, you know, how those things
So all
worked.
these other hardcore, probably really good people
yes.
are there.
People who went to Wright State later on, yeah. They're
like,
I remember you. You're the train wreck girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that was one thing, like right off the bat.
Was that, what were you like, did he say it at least on the first one, or was that when you came back for corrections?
He said it on the first one.
Oh.
He was like, when I came out, he goes, well, now that was, you know, he said, okay, you took my notes. It was good.
There you go.
But he was like, and he was talking to the audience. He goes, and remember when she came out the first time? I mean, it was a train wreck. So I was like, okay. And it was, yeah.
It's like you didn't need to remind them.
Yeah.
They remember I sucked. Okay, you don't need to, just move on.
Yeah, and it was in the newspaper and everything.
Oh, no. Wow.
So, yeah, no, I definitely from the beginning was facing rejection. And then, of course, like, you know, like I said, it only gets more intense, you know, the further along you go. So when I was in college, or when I was auditioning for colleges even, I mean, I was confident in the sense that I always knew that that's what I wanted to pursue and that's what I wanted to do. And I had this feeling of everything will work out. But I had no idea where I would go. And I really didn't know where I would get accepted. And I had such anxiety and I was so scared. And like in my auditions, my audition for CCM was a train wreck. I am allowed to say that. It was.
Cincinnati?
Cincinnati Conservatory of Music. Yeah. And that, you know.
It was a train wreck.
It was absolutely a train wreck. Those are my words. And it was just, you know, I was just so anxious. I think I practically came out of there having an anxiety attack because I was just so, you know, the stakes are so high and you're a perfectionist. You just want to do your best. And I really didn't know what I was doing yet. You know, I'm still a kid. I'm 18 or whatever.
Imagine that.
Yeah, exactly.
You weren't perfect yet.
Yeah, I was. Well, you know,
imagine.
I'm still trying. Yeah, so I had rejection then as well. And then, of course, in New York City, like, I was really lucky when I first got there and I booked Fancy Nancy. That's true. And then, of course, the cruise line. However, there were many times that I went to audition. I mean, because you have to also understand that even though I've booked those jobs, I'm still going to auditions whenever I can. So in order to like ensure that, you know, you have a job coming when that contract ends or whatever. And also not even that, but just to keep it's like exercising a muscle. So you still have to go and audition so that you don't forget how to audition. You know, you have a book and you have your songs picked out that you know are your songs. You know them. You know they showcase you the best, and you have to practice all the time. So I was going to auditions, and there are plenty of you know, most of those in between where I maybe didn't even get a call back. And it's just you go in, you do 30 bars of music, or no, not even 30 bars, normally 16 bars of music, which is about 30 seconds of singing. And so you have to pick your best, you know, 30 seconds of singing and how, you know, and show your personality and show who you are and what you're about. And it's very hard. It's very cutthroat, and you face a lot of rejection.
Do people understand that when you're on the job that you're searching for another job? No ill feelings in that situation?
I don't know. I mean, at least in the theater world, of course, like, you know, my acting friends, they all are doing the same things for the most part. So, but I think a lot of times people think, you know, if they go and see a show at the Stranahan of like this touring production, maybe they just think, oh, this actress has got it all figured out. Look at them. They are doing this thing. And it's like, well, when that contract is over, they're jobless.
Yeah.
So, you know, And
you're
just
interviewing
starting,
for a new job all the time.
You're always interviewing.
Yeah, Ron and
exactly.
I have a job for years now. So. Well, I don't have to interview again. I've already got it. So, but you have a 3-year contract. Maybe that'd be a huge contract for you to have it for 3 years.
100%. Yeah.
You know, and so if you have a year-long contract, you're looking. I was just curious about that.
And the Fancy Nancy was very fleeting because it was a holiday production. So it was only, I want to say that probably only monopolized like maybe 5 months.
Okay.
In total, like maybe 5 or 6 months in total, which isn't long at all. You know what I mean? It's like that's half a year. So, then I was back at auditioning again, and in fact during that time, I had a call back once for Singing in the Rain, and I, that's a huge tap show, and I did have tap in my training at Wright State, but I'm just not a tapper in any way, shape, or form.
Tapped in Millie in high school.
I tapped in Millie, but that does not count.
That wasn't Broadway level?
Well, they really taught me, like each basic step for that. And I probably practiced it every day until that show. But, so I hired someone to teach me and work with me one-on-one. And he was, pretty exorbitantly priced, but he was he was the best of the best. It was a reference I got from a professor of mine. I messaged them on Facebook and I said, do you have a recommendation for someone in New York City that can help me? And I hired him for the weekend. He taught me everything. And I got there and it was so bad. I just blew it,
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But, so, and that was a callback. And so I was like, already like, oh my gosh, if I could get this, that would be amazing. And I thought I was doing all the right things. I was doing all the right things. I mean, but there's only so much you can do, and I'm just not a tapper. And it was very obvious once I got there. I was like, oh, they're not looking for someone like really good actress and really good singer who can like do the moves. They're looking for a tapper. Gotcha. And I am not that. So, that was another very funny and embarrassing, rejection moment.
But I love what you just said there a second ago, and that was you can't be all things.
You can't. No, of course not. And there was nothing that I did wrong. I put the work in as much as I could, but it just I wasn't what they were looking for, and you can't always be good. And so there was plenty of rejection. And then, of course, also when I came back from the AIDA contract on the ship, and like I said, I was still auditioning, and I was back in New York for 1 year before I moved to Germany. So it was 1 year of auditioning. And that whole time I was auditioning, I would get a call back for what was that? I got called back for a Mamma Mia tour, and lots of things that I felt like, oh, I'm perfect for that. It's like you have these certain shows and roles that you're like, I know this is meant to be, or like this is what I'm meant to do.
I'm blonde. I'd be perfect for Legally Blonde. So.
Exactly, and I didn't get them, and there were lots of times when I would call like my dad on the phone, just crying, like walking home from an audition, and I'd be like, oh man, I don't know, it's just. I remember saying when I left the city, and not in a giving up sort of way, but just I was like, you know what? It came at the right time that I want to move to Germany because I wanted, at the time I was following love and going to do my European adventure. And I was like, all of these changes that I'm going through and all these new things that I want to experience came at the perfect time, because I was probably going, if I had stayed in New York City, maybe I would have faced like a burnout. You know what I mean? Because you do get burnout from being rejected and or from, these letdowns. Like I said, you get this feeling, oh, I'm perfect. Oh, maybe I'll get it. And you don't, or whatever. So it really came at the perfect time. I just was really lucky that when I sensed something like that happening, that I was like, all right, time to change it up, time to switch it up. I'm still in my 20s. I got to go do something new then, because I don't want to, That's the thing about theater, and there is a place for everybody in theater. There are so many different roles, and there's so many different ideas that directors have for how they see that role and who they like, the type of person they're looking for. So there is something for everybody. If you want to do this, you can do this, and a lot of the time, you do have to put the work in. Of course, you have to be hardworking. You have to be kind and friendly and, easy to work with. People have to you have to be friendly. But also, sometimes it's just, you're in the right place at the right time, and you're with that person, that casting director, that you are exactly what they were looking for. And that's the awesome thing too, is that, it's all about diversity, and hopefully we're only getting further into that now, and it's going to, be more of a diverse casting situation in the future, I think. But there's opportunities for everybody. So honestly, don't give up. Don't give up. You will face rejection, but if you want it, you can have it. And I think it's a lot about mindset. It's a lot about staying positive and staying sure in yourself. So, because that's the only thing you can control. You can't control what other people think. You can say, I did my best, and I thought that I was deserving of that. But if you're not what that person's looking for, then that's out of your control. So all you can control is your own perspective and like your positivity, or, the way that you go in there and think of yourself and the work that you put in. So.
True. Just great stories, great advice.
Oh, thank you.
I think everybody's going to love listening to this episode. So just thank you for coming on. It was great talking to you. So here's the deal. Everybody listening to this right now, make sure you're on Facebook tonight. Following Stage Doors Facebook channel, you are going to get a special show. We're going to actually be doing a live performance, first time. So, it's probably not going to be that great, but we're going to try. We're going to try and make it be good. No, it'll be good. It'll be our normal show. If there's any problems, it'll just be technical stuff. So, but make sure you tune in. 6:30 tonight, we're going to be live at Oregon Community Theater's production of The Little Mermaid. We'll get some behind-the-scenes stuff. We'll have some guests coming in and talk to them, and you'll be able to see all that live. If you miss it, though, or if you're in the show, you're part of the Oregon Community Theater community, and you're at the show, you can also download our episode on Monday. We're going to load it up on Monday, so a different day, obviously, than usual, but special. It's a special kind of thing, so we're going to do that. We'll still have our normal Friday show as well. So if you like our stuff, make sure you tell us. Like us on Facebook and like us on all the places. Thank you. Bye.